Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about databases and how to search through the databases. So before we get started, I want to show you a little bit of the navigation and explain a little bit about how databases work. So if you're starting on your library homepage here, what you want to do is go to this right-hand navigation bar, find resources, and then find the second link, which is databases. And this will bring you to the main page for accessing databases. And if you notice, we have a box here for popular databases, we have a box for databases by subject, and we have a box for databases by title. There are some informational videos, how-to videos, and other tools for you if you would like to explore that on your own time. But I want to talk a little bit about some of these popular databases. There is an explanation on your Canvas about what each of these databases is and what they're for, but I do want to recommend that Academic Search Ultimate, the ProQuest Research Library, and Web of Science are for any topics. And feel free to use them with whatever topic that you're looking for, and you may have better or worse success in them, but it's a good starting place. JSTOR is mostly historical context, so it may have less recent research, but you may have more primary documents from a historical time period or from a specific event that you're trying to research. Nexus Uni is for newspapers or trade documents or publications like that, and Project Muse is mostly for humanities or softer science, social sciences. You will find that there. Databases by subject is very interesting because let's say you're hoping to find, let's say, a topic about chemistry. I'm just choosing a chemistry. You'll have a subject database by subject, and you can click on this and it will open and you have the best bets. And some of them, here you have Web of Science, are going to be recommended for your use for this topic or topics that are within this subject heading. But if you scroll down, you're also going to have Academic Search Ultimate, and you'll have ProQuest Research Library. These are also going to be helpful for you. So keep in mind that you're probably going to find some of those popular databases within your subject headings. Now, you may not find your subject listed here. For example, library information is not one of the subject headings here. But you can also just search by title because most of these are titled after their subjects. So if you're looking for a library science database, go into the letter L, you can find a couple of different databases that are specifically about library science. And this is true for many of your topics. So if you're not seeing one specifically here for your subject and you're not having a lot of success with the popular databases, you can at least look up your title by a name that you think may be helpful for you. Now, I do want to show you something interesting. If you come here to this Library and Information Science and Technology Abstracts with Full Text, I recommend if you have the option for a database that says with full text, that's where you should start your research. So if you notice, after this loads, and sometimes it takes a while, especially if you're off campus, or it's the first time you've logged in during your session, if you notice the way that this is showing, you are seeing a database that is run by EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost is the company that builds this platform. So it's not the people who own this information, it's the people who own this search platform. And when you find databases that are run by this company, the search bar and the search method is going to be very similar. They're going to be similar across the databases that are run by this company. Going back to electronic resources. If you click on Academic Search Ultimate, you can notice when this logs in, and we have to wait because of course we have to wait. This is also hosted by EBSCOhost. So looking at this library and information science, that's where you can find the name of the database that you are searching in. And Academic Search Ultimate, that's the name of your database. They will have the same search function, so you don't need to learn two different search methods. But also, something that's incredibly amazing is I can choose databases right here. And that means I can go and find the database I was just searching in, Library and Information Science, and I can click on that. And I can come down and I can see if there was anything else that I wanted to add, but I can search them both now at the same time because they're hosted by the same company. So now I have multiple databases. And you can see show all if you're trying to remember which databases you're searching. So now I can search both of these databases at the same time. But first, what I want to do is close all these out and return to Academic Search Ultimate. And that way we can start from the beginning and you can have a comparison for what this might look like. Now, if you remember, we're looking at ebooks in academic libraries. And I'm truncating academic libraries to see what we get. And we have 482 results. You will have a significantly lower number of results when you're searching in a single database. That is what is going to happen. Don't be shocked by that. Don't be nervous about that. That's a good thing because you're using the database that you're looking at to eliminate all of the other documents that might be focusing on other subjects because you're like, I'm just looking at this subject. And you do that by choosing one database. You can also use this filter menu on the left, just the way you would in Primo. You want to select 2011 because that is the last 10 years. Click Enter in order to apply that filter. And you see over here your current search and how you're able to limit the search or narrow your search. So I want to limit to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And I want to limit to academic journals because reviews is somebody talking about somebody else's research, and that's a tertiary source. That's not a primary research. I don't want that. And conference papers are usually fine, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm looking for something peer-reviewed. So academic journals is what I want to limit it to. I still have 235 results, which is a fair amount. I can select by subject. I can select by publication. What kind of publication? If this is a journal of academic librarianship, which may be very interesting, or electronic resources librarianship, depending on what you're looking for. Publishers, if I know that I'm looking for something by the American Library Association, that is what I want, then I can select by that publisher. And it tells you how many you would have. So I have 28 here, and I can look down and these will all be published by the Academic Library Association. Now, here we have this, this link, and you can see it has a full text. And if I click on it, I can come in here and I can see that I have access to a full text document. Sometimes you'll have access to an HTML if you're looking for a different format, if it's easier for you to read HTML versus reading PDF. I can also save this to my Google Drive. I can add it to a folder. I can print it, email it, save it, cite it. When you click on citations, this is a scrolling bar, and you're able to choose what kind of citation format. If you're within the EBSCO host, it does have the APA 7th edition, which is always helpful, but remember, it's not perfect. So you will need to do your CPR method where you copy, paste, and repair, because it's never going to be 100% foolproof. So make sure that you are aware of that. If you want to export it, you can export it to a citation builder, EasyBib, RefWorks, something like that. Feel free to if you want. Email will email you the PDF. Now, sometimes this box will not be ticked. And you absolutely want to tick this box because it will include the actual PDF as an attachment. Otherwise, you might just get a link, and that link is going to time out very quickly. So you want to make sure that you have this ticked, or you are going to your email in a different browser window or browser tab and attaching the saved PDF if you want to use this. Now, coming down here and looking at the details, you have the author, you have the publisher, the publishing company, you have subject terms that you want to look at. So electronic books might be a better search term than ebooks for this database. So one thing you can do, and I'm going to open this in another tab, is click on the author's name. And there we go. And these are all, there's 10 articles or pieces of literature that she has written. So if I want to find more information about her, or at least somebody with her name, there's no guarantee that this is going to be the same person, especially if that person has an extremely common name, because mistakes can happen when they're being entered into the database. But you usually get a pretty good list of topics that this person will have written. They all seem to be on a similar topic, except for perhaps this specific article, which does seem to be quite different in topic than everyone else, but there's no reason to suggest that it's not written by the same person. So keep that in mind. Maybe or maybe not that is the same person, but most of these seem to be on the same topic, publishing around the same time, so they should be the same person. What you can also do is click on these subject terms. And if I click on this, it is going to come up here and fill in this one topic. It does not keep any of my other search terms or search results, so I can add my truncated academic library search term, and I'm going to get 416, okay? Now I can go back and add in all of my different limiters, and they are called limiters instead of filters in this. I click enter to apply the date, and as you can see, we have some of the same articles that are coming up, but that's about how that might work in this database. Now, if we go back to the original starting page and we want to choose databases and we want to add in that other database that we found, if we're starting from the same place with the same search terms, with the truncated term, we're going to get 1,682, which is much more than we had the first time we searched this topic. And we can add those limiters really quickly because it's good practice, and you should always be narrowing your search to what it is that you're hoping to get kind of right at the beginning. Type in your search terms, add in all the limiters that you're really excited about, that you're really wanting to use, and then see what you have left. And we have 700. So we can add more limiters. Maybe I want to stay with full text. Maybe I don't have enough time to access an ebook or an article if I have to go through interlibrary loan. So now we have about 300 left. Let's see. I would like to do college and research libraries. I think that's a good publication. That's going to bring me down to 13. So this has removed duplicates. So both of the database may have the same articles, but there are 13 that were in one or the other of the databases. And that's one of the things you get when you're adding more databases. And then I can choose which one I'm interested in. And you can see this one has an HTML full text, which means that if you click through, the whole article is listed on this web page. And some people, including myself, find this much easier to read and to access than a PDF because the PDF may have be a photocopy or it may be difficult to search. This one looks pretty good, but the older copies are a little bit more difficult to access. And I'm going to return to the page. You also can cite this over here, and you should be able to find some access points. We're going to go back to the search and see if we can find any ones that do not have full text access. So I'm going to remove full text. And it looks like with all of these limiters, we only have ones that access full text. So I'm going to take out some of these limiters to try and show you what might happen if it's not available. How many do I have? 15. What have I selected? Oh, I've selected, here I'm going to remove college and research library. I think that's the limiter that is changing things. Okay, so I'm going to look at this one. It does have a request item and full text at UNCP, and if you search that, it will take you to Primo, and you have to sign in. There we go. You have to do this if you're off campus. And you can get this through Interlibrary Loan. Okay, and this will take you to your Interlibrary Loan sign up. You should be able to sign in. And I believe this is my login. There we go. And it has my information for that article already filled in. Okay, so we do have the title of the article. We have how many pages, what year is. It's not fully filled in because we do not have the journal title. And so I would have to come back here and find the journal title or the kind of title of the source and put it in here. There is a not wanted after date, and it's like, when is this supposed to be due? What's the latest day that you could receive this before it would be irrelevant? So make sure that that is correct, and then you could submit your request. This is if you have a lot of time, you're doing your research early, and this is an article you feel is going to be really, really helpful to you. You can also click this request item, which will take you immediately to Interlibrary Loan, and you don't have to go through the whole Primo site if you don't want to. All right, so this is how you can search the EBSCOhost database. That is the one that is handled by this company. I do want to go back to electronic resources and show you what happens when you go to the ProQuest Research Library, because this is not handled by the same company as the previous databases. ProQuest and EBSCOhost are the two major entities that create searches and oversee different databases. So this is the ProQuest search. It functions almost exactly the same as it would in EBSCOhost. And you do have this change databases link. And here are all the databases that you can link into in order to access more information. I'm scrolling down to see if there is a library science database, and there is, and you can click on that. Research Library is the one that I clicked on to get here, so it's already linked in. But there are many of them. Feel free to take your time and see which ones you want to use. Now I am searching in two databases at once. ebooks and academic libraries. Again, I know I keep saying it, but I am truncating that search term. And I have 5,701 results. And if you notice, in the search bar, it's already nested that term because I did not put it in quotes. If I return to the previous page, you can see that I can select peer-reviewed and full text, and I want after this date in 2011. I can add these limiters into my initial search. And when I do that, I'm going to come up with 3,980 results. So you can add these limiters as you're starting. And I don't know why it did not click the full text. I wasn't paying attention, clearly. There we go. There we go. You can also come back and look at different subjects. Maybe I want to focus on academic libraries. Maybe I want an article, a case study, a report, something like that. I want an article. And let's see. Most of the articles you can see in this will be in English. Feel free to limit that to English if you like. And then you can come over and see some of the information, some of the articles. This one obviously is not in the United States. I could come back here and go not, and like, but my assumption would be that most of these articles would not be about Pakistan. You can see it removed that article. You might want to say, and US, yeah, I'm going to nest this US or USA or United States and see how much that reduces. 302. This database does not require you to like save your filters the way that Primo does, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now we have this search term. We have about 302. At this point, you want to start looking through and seeing if there's anything in the first like 20 topics that may suggest a limiter that you want to add. So we have consortium, we have blind users that might be very interested if you're looking at access, exploring ebook use, that's the same kind of thing. Acquisitions and management, managing ebooks and this. So we are seeing some that are referencing accessibility. So I want to go and remember, when you are adding a Boolean operator, you have to scream it at the database, so it has to be capitalized. And I want to go and access. Okay, most of these actually do focus on access, so that's pretty good. Let's just say open access ebook repositories, and we'll look at this one. We'll see how this one will look inside the database. You have information about your citation here, and you do have a citation button. Now, if you're looking for, in ProQuest, there are many style guides that you can choose from, and you do have 7 different APA. So feel free to choose one of them, because you will have to CPR, copy, paste, and prepare your citation. It's obviously taking slightly longer because I'm recording this, and that's just how it happens. There we go. So this is an extremely long one. Maybe this is an annotated citation, which I didn't notice. I don't want an annotated citation. There we go. Here we have the citation. You can copy it, You can copy it directly from clicking that link and paste it into a document in order to keep these organized. You're also able to email these. You do want to probably include biographic citations. That would be the citations in the paper. So if you're wanting to look at other resources that are in that article, you could click that tab. This may or may not be clicked on correctly. So full text, citation, abstract, full text, images, indexing. This also would have the PDF. Do you want it to be a PDF? However you want it. You put your email in, you put your name in so that they know that it's you that's sending it to you. And then you can email it to yourself. That's very helpful. You can print it off, you can download the PDF, all of those things you can do. In order to see the HTML, you can just scroll down. In order to go to full text, you go to the next tab. If you want to look at details about this, you go to the third tab, and this has your subject headings. It has a lot of the different information, where if you want to find, oh, I want this author, I want to see what they have written, you can click on this and it goes into a different tab. Now, you notice a lot of these are about social networking, research, information, and then this one is about prostate cancer. Possibly that's not the same person. We're going to go back. You also have related items. So information that is similar will be shown on the side, and that's very helpful. Okay, the last thing I want to do very quickly, I know this has been a really long video, I'm sorry, but we're going to go and look at Web of Science because this is so interesting and it's so different from the information that the search type for other databases. Now, I was in here earlier and I typed in Jane Austen into the search bar and it has remembered me. So it may remember you if you're coming back to this often. But you have this drop-down box where you're able to choose different information. So topic is probably what you want to start with. If you go to the advanced search, it is very complicated, and I recommend not doing that. Don't go to the advanced search. This is the only one I'm going to recommend. Don't do the advanced search. Keep in mind the things we've talked about and build your search with your Boolean operators, and remember to yell it, and nesting, truncation, all of those things. Maybe we're going to go and access and search in this example. Ignore that little box. So we have here 29 results from the databases for these articles. What I can do is use this tab off to the side, this filter to refine results. In this case, you would need to select all of these different publication years, and you want to do for the past 10 and then click refine. Definitely want it. Now we have 25. For some topics you may have many more, or that might narrow your search results a lot. I don't want editorial materials, I just want articles. I can refine that like this. Now, when you come over here, 1 citation and 3 references. So this article uses these 3 references that we have access to. And a different article cites it, only 1. This one cites 12 references and nobody cites it. But this one was used in 19 other citations. So that means that 19 people found this article to be very useful. What you can do at the bottom is, if it doesn't say full text like this second article, it may be more difficult to access this. And there's a couple of different things you can do. You can click full text at publisher and see what happens. And in this case, it comes up, there's a full text, there's a PDF here, that's good. If you are off campus, it might not work that well for you. And what you can do is copy this title, go to the library, and search it in Primo. And Primo may be able to give you this, here it is, this article, and Primo will offer access. Here we go. So we can look at this database, which is the Science Direct, not the Web of Science, and you would be able to find the full text. And if you go through that kind of twisty, unrelated route, you probably should still have access to it, even if you're off campus. But sometimes that does not work. I'm trying to see if there would be an example of one that would not work. That one did. I'm so excited that these are actually working if you're getting them through the publisher. So this one is the full text. It's slightly different, access through your institution. So something like this might come up, right? And at this point you want to try and go through your Primo site. And if it's still not working, you can contact a librarian, you can let me know, I'll try to get you access to a site, a source. Citations, if you click on this, these are all of the sources that reference that initial source. And they may be very relevant, they may not be very relevant, but you'll at least be able to see some of the people who found that research interesting. And that's the best thing about the Web of Science. I am going to be giving another video that was made by a different librarian that explains a little bit more about how to use Web of Science, and that is for your use. If you need it, if you feel like you understand it and you got it, excellent. But if you're still a little confused, please watch the second video, and I will see you in class.